Questions are power. But every kind of power comes with a price. Use it to silence others, and you become a manipulator. Use it to awaken them, and you become a philosopher. Socrates, the man who never lost a single debate, not because he was always right, but because he never entered a debate to win, while others drained their minds trying to defend their opinions. He simply asked questions, each question sharp as a blade, cut through arguments until they collapsed under their own weight. He never shouted. He never tried to look smart. He used silence and reason, weapons few have, the patience or discipline to master. And today, I'll give you 5 questions known as the Socratic Method. If you master this art, you won't just win debates. You'll control conversations, situations, and people. But remember, this power is not for those who seek attention. It's for those who seek mastery, over others and over themselves. Before we dive into the 5 questions, let's understand why asking always defeats arguing, and why these 5 questions are so devastatingly effective. When someone makes an argument, they expose themselves. They build a tower of words. But every tower can fall if one brick at its foundation is removed. The questioner doesn't build towers. They dig. They dig down to the base of belief. And when the ground gives way, the whole structure collapses. A question is invisible, yet it carries the force of truth. You can't lose when you ask. A statement can be wrong. A genuine question cannot be wrong. Here's the psychological edge. Arguments make people defensive. Questions make them think. Socrates knew this. He understood the ego always wants to be right. So instead of attacking it, he invited others to draw the map of their own beliefs. And when they reached the end of that map, they discovered the ground beneath them was only sand. That was never about winning. It was about liberation from illusion. Part 1. How do you know that's true? It sounds simple, almost harmless. But this question is the seed of collapse. Everyone has beliefs, yet almost no one truly knows why they believe. Most beliefs are inherited, copied, or absorbed unconsciously from the crowd. I heard it somewhere. Everybody knows that. It's just obvious. Those answers are proof that they've never examined the roots of their own convictions. Because 99% of people don't live by thinking, they live by repetition. They believe not in what is true, but in what they've heard the most. They believe social media is destroying the world. They believe success requires a college degree. They believe happiness means having more money. But when you ask them, how do you know that's true? They have no answer. And when someone can't defend the source of their belief, they begin to lose belief in themselves. They realize that what they called truth was only emotion dressed up as logic. Socrates understood every untested belief is dangerous, because what is unexamined controls you. One afternoon in Athens, a confident young man confronted him. He said, "Your philosophy is useless. Reality is the only truth." Socrates smiled and asked one question. "How do you know that's true?" The young man replied, "Because everyone says so." Socrates leaned in. "Everyone, or you?" No one remembers what the young man said next, only that he walked away in silence, because for the first time in his life, he realized he had never truly thought. How to use this question in real life. When someone says, "This task can't be done," don't argue, just ask. "Are you sure?" Based on whose experience? When someone tells you, "You're going to fail," ask, What makes you so certain? What? Then stay silent. Don't try to win. Silence cuts deeper than words because it forces people to hear their own thoughts. And here's the advanced variation. What would have to be true for that to be false? That single question flips logic upside down and forces them to see the blind spot in their own mind. Sometimes it's powerful enough to make those who thought they knew everything sit still, like statues. Part 2. What are you assuming? Every argument is an iceberg. What you see is only the tip. What lies beneath those invisible assumptions are what keep it afloat. Take this example. People should go to college because college leads to good jobs. Sounds reasonable, right? But beneath the surface, you're assuming that everyone wants the same kind of job. You're assuming that the value of life is measured in money. You're assuming that college always leads to success. Peel away those layers, and the original argument begins to tremble, and the person speaking starts to think. This question doesn't destroy by attack. It destroys through awareness. It shines a light on the foundation no one ever examines. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality," because most people don't live by truth. They live inside untested assumptions. They say, "I need other people's approval," but they never stop to ask, "What makes me believe I need that?" A young soldier once asked Marcus Aurelius, "My emperor, how can I avoid being offended?" And the emperor answered, "By understanding that words cannot offend, unless you assume they can." The question, "What are you assuming?" is a mirror reflecting the illusions we've built our lives upon. So, how do you use it? When someone says, "I'm not good enough," ask, "Compared to who?" In that moment, you've shattered the wall of comparison, one of the deepest roots of human suffering. When they say, "Everyone should go to college," ask, "Are you assuming everyone wants the same kind of life?" That's how you strike at the foundation, the hidden layer of belief, where truth lies buried. Part 3. What evidence would change your mind? This is the line that separates the thinker from the believer. A rational mind says, "If there's better evidence, I'm willing to change." But a blind believer says, "Nothing could ever change my mind." And the moment they say that, you don't need to continue, because they've already admitted the reason no longer lives there. This is the question most people fear, because it forces them to face an uncomfortable truth. If no evidence could ever change their view, then they're not thinking anymore. They're worshipping their own belief. Try it in a real conversation. Someone says, "Crypto is just a scam." You ask, "What kind of evidence would make you change your mind?" If they say, "Nothing, I'd never change," you've already won, because they've confessed. They're no longer guided by logic, but by pride. This question divides the learner from the believer. The learner adjusts when truth appears. The believer defends the ego, even when truth stands right in front of them. Epictetus once taught, "No man can learn what he thinks he already knows." That's what this third question truly is, a test of humility. If you can't point to the kind of evidence that would prove you wrong, then you've become the prisoner of your own certainty. Here's how to use it in everyday life. When someone tries to force their beliefs on you, simply ask, "If new facts appeared, would you be open to re-examining your view?" If they say, "No," you've already seen the limits of their mind. If they say, "Yes," you've just opened the door to wisdom. Part 4. What would someone who disagrees with you say? This question forces people to step outside themselves. And for most, that's the hardest thing in the world to do. The weak want to win. The smart want to understand. But the wise seek to understand even those who oppose them. This question is a test of comprehension. If you can't describe your opponent's view accurately, you don't truly understand the issue. Someone says, capitalism is the best system. You ask, what would someone who disagrees say? If they reply, they're just jealous because they're poor, they've just admitted they've never really listened. Americans grow up surrounded by debate, but most of it is shouting, not dialogue. This question teaches what Marcus Aurelius once told his son: to understand another man's argument better than he does himself. That is the height of wisdom. Picture this: a discussion at an old military academy about discipline. A young officer stands up and says, "The army is fair. Whoever breaks the rules is punished." Then, an older instructor leans forward and asks, "And what if the rule itself was written by an unjust man?" The room falls silent. That is the power of a perspective shift. It opens a door they never knew existed. How to use this in real life. In a political argument, don't rush to counter. Ask, if you were born in another country, would you still think the same? In a personal conflict, ask, if you were me, how would you feel? One question can melt the ice of an entire conversation, because it touches something deeper than logic. It reaches empathy. Part 5. What would happen if everyone thought like you? This is the final strike. The question that drags an argument out of the clouds and throws it into reality. Someone says, people should be free to do whatever they want as long as they don't hurt anyone. Sounds noble, doesn't it? But ask, if everyone truly lived that way, who decides what hurt means? What about emotional pain? Long-term harm? Suddenly, that beautiful idea begins to crumble, because it cannot survive when taken to the edge of its own logic. Socrates called this reductio ad absurdum, pushing a belief to its limit to see if it still holds true. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What is right cannot be right only for you. It must be right for all." A thought only has value if it can be universal. If a principle collapses the moment you apply it to everyone, it isn't truth. It's a disguise for selfishness. When someone says, "Relax, I only lied a little," ask, if everyone lied a little, would trust still exist? When they say, "I did it because everyone does it," ask, if everyone thought that way, who would be the first to stop? This question is a mirror. It reflects the consequences they refuse to face. And in that reflection, the illusion of moral comfort shatters. Part 6. Advanced Tactics. 1. The strategic silence. After you ask, say nothing. Let the silence do the work. Silence forces the other person to face their own thoughts. Most people can't handle it, so they rush to fill the void. And in doing so, they reveal what they didn't mean to say. 2. The clarification loop. When their answer is vague, ask, "Can you explain that a bit more?" 2. Then ask again, and again. Keep looping until they realize they don't actually understand themselves. 3. The example trap. Ask for something concrete. Can you give me a real example of that? Watch how grand statements begin to crumble the moment they have to meet reality. 4. The consistency check. You said A earlier, and now you're saying B. How do those fit together? No one can outrun logic forever. Eventually, their own contradictions will corner them. Part 7. The art of defense. When someone uses it on you. If someone starts using the Socratic method on you, don't react. Understand, they're not attacking you, they're testing the truth within you. Stay calm and say, "That's a good question, but what's your view on it?" Pull them out from behind their wall of questions and bring the conversation back to balance. And always remember, not every conversation requires logic. There are moments when the Socratic method should not be used. When someone is in pain or anger, the reason doesn't heal emotion. When you're speaking to a boss or a professor, they may mistake curiosity for challenge. When a quick decision is needed, too much analysis kills action. And in close relationships, questioning too much feels less like listening and more like judgment. A true Stoic philosopher doesn't just know how to speak wisely, they know when. Part 8. Applying it to modern life. 1. In the workplace. Instead of commanding, "Do it this way," ask, "What risks do you see if we did the opposite?" You won't just get an answer, you'll earn trust and alignment. Because people commit more deeply to ideas they helped create. 2. In sales. Don't push, don't pressure. Lead with curiosity. Ask, if everything stays the same, what will your situation look like 6 months from now? The right question doesn't convince, it awakens clarity. And clarity sells better than persuasion ever could. 3. In parenting and education. Instead of shouting, ask, "What do you think will happen if you do that again?" That moment of reflection is where maturity begins. That's not control, that's awakening. 4. In love. When arguments rise, don't ask to win, ask to connect. What do you need most to feel heard right now? Because sometimes it's not logic that saves a relationship. It's empathy disguised as a question. A single honest question can do what 1,000 clever words never could. Conclusion. The ethics and responsibility of using this power. Socrates was sentenced to death, not because he spoke lies, but because he asked too many questions that were true. And that is the lesson for us all. Questions are power, but every power comes with a price. Use them to silence others, and you become a manipulator. Use them to awaken others, and you become a philosopher. Ask not to win. Ask to awaken. There are 3 virtues you must protect. Intellectual humility, you don't have all the answers. Sincere curiosity, ask to understand, not to conquer. Collaborative thinking, seek dialogue, not dominance. And 4 vices you must guard against. Intellectual arrogance, believing you stand above others. Humiliation disguised as wisdom, using questions to wound, not to heal. Endless skepticism, tearing everything down and building nothing back. The judge's mindset, believing you alone hold the truth. One day, when you face someone loud, stubborn, or angry, remember, you don't need to shout to be right. You only need to ask softly, to make them think. Because true power is not in making others listen to you, but in making them hear themselves. Socrates once asked humanity one simple question: are you sure you truly understand yourself? And maybe, just maybe, it's the one question the world still hasn't answered. The 5 Socratic questions are not weapons for debate. They are exercises in wisdom, for a Stoic mind that seeks mastery, not victory. Don't react, observe. Don't impose, guide. Don't fight, discover. Use them to question others. But first, use them to question yourself. Because the one who learns to ask the right questions no longer fears any answer. And if you've reached this point, you're already part of a rare group. Those who seek truth, not applause. So, If this message spoke to you, leave a comment below with just 3 words. I choose awareness. Let that be your commitment. To live, to question, and to grow, with the calm strength of a Stoic mind. And if this journey inspires you, subscribe, share, and let's keep building a world where wisdom speaks louder than noise.